Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
From makeshift studios deep in the heart of stately Maine Manor, this is the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and I am your host, Joey Harris. Follow the show on Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. And folks, my post office saga continues. Went this weekend, and I just had 2 packages, and the guy's like, "You don't even have a bag today? Things must really be going bad." I'm like, yeah, it's been a slow week. And then it picked up over the weekend. I had 4 packages today. And again, he's pushing that machine. Do you know about the machine in the lobby? Yes, I know about the machine in the lobby. But again, there was nobody in line. Maybe one day I'll try the machine. I'm just worried that something's going to go wrong and the people I'm shipping these packages to will not get their packages. But folks, I got a big announcement. Next week, Project 45 begins. I will be 45 weeks until I turn 45 years old. So I have decided to do 45 years in 45 weeks. I'll be going from my birth year, 1978, all the way through to 2022. So you can look forward to that. We will be hopscotching, I guess is the right word, back and forth across the year. So it won't be in linear fashion. So we'll be going different places and doing different things. I will also be doing bonus shows as we finish the look at 1991 in wrestling, as well as 1987 WWF and some other shows like our Thanksgiving Starcade show and what have you. But with that in mind, let's get right down to it. We've got a lot to get to. So today we look at the 1991 Survivor Series from the WWF. Survivor Series 1991, The Gravest Challenge, was shown on pay-per-view on November the 27th, 1991 from the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. There were 17,500 in attendance. In a dark match, Chris Chavis defeated Kato. Now, I pronounce it Chavis. I know other people say Chris Chavis, and I've never been able to get a definitive answer one way or the other, because I've known people who pronounced it Chavis. I've known people who pronounced it Chavis. A lot of people say Chavis, but it's the future Tatanka, so just know that. So he has not debuted yet, and they're still working some things out about how his name is going to be and what have you. We then get our Survivor Series intro. Gorilla Monsoon welcomes us to the Survivor Series. We get a flashback to the attack on Randy Savage by Jake Roberts and Roberts' Cobra biting Savage. They then show Jack Tunney saying he can't in good conscience allow Savage to compete at Survivor Series. Tunney says he accepts full responsibility for what has happened. He says the King Cobra and all reptiles are banned from ringside. He then reinstates Savage and sets a match for this Tuesday in Texas. Remember those words, folks. You'll be hearing them a lot. And if you're at home and not operating a motor vehicle, you can take a shot, but you will be drunk. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan are then shown to talk about everything that has gone down. A weasel chant goes out when Heenan talks. Ted DiBiase with Sherry, the Mountie with Jimmy Hart, the Warlord with Harvey Whippleman, and Ric Flair with Mr. Perfect versus Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Virgil, and the British Bulldog. Flair gets in the ring and they distort his belt as he holds it up, but you can tell that it's either an old WWF tag belt or definitely based on that design. All managers are supposed to return to the back from ringside, but Sherry sticks around. You'll find out why shortly. Piper and DiBiase start. A huge Roddy chant goes out. Flair comes in and plants a knee in Piper's back. Piper Irish whip, ducks a clothesline, and hits one of his own. Piper crotches DiBiase on the top rope. Sherry comes after Piper, who kisses her to get rid of her. He hits a series of left jabs that knock DiBiase down. Piper with a wrist lock into a hammerlock. Bulldog tagged in. He drops a knee onto DiBiase's back and tags in Virgil. He drops knees on DiBiase's back and tags in Hart. He drops a leg on DiBiase and more knees to DiBiase. They all keep DiBiase down with the wrist lock while they do this. Piper tagged in. He does a fist drop to DiBiase's back. Bulldog tagged in. More knees to the back. Virgil tagged in. He goes up and drops a double axe handle to DiBiase. DiBiase back up. Virgil with shots to DiBiase's arm. Hart tagged in. Shoulder throw. DiBiase back down. DiBiase comes back with knees and chops to Hart in the corner. Hart with a corner whip, but misses the charge when DiBiase moves. DiBiase with a toe hold. Hart pushes off. Into a monkey flip. Into a pinning predicament. DiBiase reverses. Hart reverses that into a pinning hold for a 2 count. Hart with a hip toss into an armbar. DiBiase with an Irish whip. Hart with a shoulder block. DiBiase with a hip toss. Flair tagged in. He misses an elbow drop. Hart with a headbutt. Inverted atomic drop by Hart. Bulldog tagged in. He hits a slingshot. Flair comes back with chops. Bulldog with an Irish whip and a military press slam. Piper tagged in. Flair begging off. They go back and forth with slaps and chops. Piper battering Flair with blows, so Flair falls to the outside and collapses. Piper runs him into the steps. Then he runs him into the barricade. He throws Flair into the ring. He tags Warlord in. He wants a test of strength. Piper stalling as a Roddy chant goes out again. Piper tags Bulldog in because he and Warlord are contractually obligated to wrestle each other on a 1991 WWF pay-per-view. He starts running shoulder blocks to Warlord, trying to knock him down. He ducks a Warlord clothesline and hits him with a drop kick. Bulldog with a corner whip. Warlord gets a boot up on a corner charge. Warlord runs Bulldog into DiBiase's boot. Mountie tagged in. Mountie chops Bulldog and then Irish whips Bulldog and hits a nice back elbow. Hart tagged in and the Mountie bails to the outside. DiBiase tagged in. They tie up in the corner. Hart with some shots. Hart with a backbreaker. Then a second rope elbow drop. He gets a 2 count. Double clothesline and both men down. Mountie and Bulldog both tagged in. Bulldog with an Irish whip and a clothesline. Another Irish whip and a back elbow by the Bulldog. Another Irish whip and a military press slam. All 8 men in now, and Flair is chopping Bulldog in the corner. DiBiase and Flair try to double clothesline Bulldog, but he gets both of them. They act like Flair is the legal man, but you don't see a tag. Bulldog with a power slam to Mountie, but Flair comes off the top rope. You can now drink everything you have, and hits and pins Bulldog. Piper in. He's in the heels corner fighting all of them. They get him down and DiBiase is kicking Piper. Flair with a snapmare to Piper. He drops the knee on Piper. He taunts Virgil, then goes to drop the knee again and Piper moves. Piper gets Flair in the figure 4. DiBiase breaks the hole and tags in. He attacks the leg of Piper. He gets the spinning toe hold on. Piper grabs him in a small package for a 2 count. Mountie tagged in. He gets a Boston Crab on Piper. Piper fights over to his corner and tags Virgil in. Virgil attacks Mountie. Virgil with a corner whip and a clothesline. Mountie goes to tag, but no one will tag in. Virgil with a clothesline and a back elbow. Flair tagged in, back and forth with slaps to each other. Virgil with a corner whip and a backdrop. DiBiase tagged in. Virgil is ready. Virgil blocks getting run into the corner, but runs DiBiase in repeatedly. DiBiase reverses a clothesline into a power slam and Warlord tagged in. He throws Virgil to the outside. Flair attacks Virgil on the outside and runs him into the steps. Back in, Warlord runs Virgil into the corner. Big forearm by Warlord. He puts Virgil in a full Nelson. Everybody in. Hart hits Warlord with a shot from the second rope, and Piper pins Warlord despite not being the legal man. This show is a mess. Piper rolls DiBiase up for a 2 count. DiBiase with an Irish whip and a back elbow. Piper blocks a suplex and hits one of his own. Virgil tagged in. Virgil with an Irish whip and a clothesline. DiBiase with an eye rake, but misses a clothesline. Virgil puts the $1 Million Dream on. DiBiase runs Virgil into the turnbuckle to get out of it. Flair tagged in. He chops Virgil. Back suplex. Mountie tagged in. Irish whip and a drop kick to Virgil. He then holds Virgil for DiBiase to chop. DiBiase tagged in. DiBiase with an elbow drop from the second rope. DiBiase with a gut-wrench suplex. Flair tagged back in. He and DiBiase double clothesline Virgil. Flair gets a 2 count with his feet on the ropes. DiBiase tagged in. Irish whip and a clothesline to Virgil. A Virgil chant goes out. DiBiase with an Irish whip, and DiBiase drops his head too early. Virgil with a swinging net breaker. Flair and Piper tagged in. Flair attacks Piper, who responds with an eye poke. He does corner punches to Flair, who tries to come back with an inverted atomic drop, but Piper comes back with another eye poke. Piper rams Flair's head into the turnbuckle. Heels come in to try to break it up. Flair climbs the turnbuckle, but gets caught and thrown off so you can take a shot if you're drinking at home. Heels and faces in now. Flair corner whip to the outside. Everybody is still fighting on the inside. The bell rings. Everyone but Flair is disqualified. Sole survivor, Ric Flair. Piper and Hart throwing the heels out. The faces celebrate. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon are shown, and Heenan is ecstatic. Monsoon almost cracks up at Heenan, but tries to put over that he's mad at Heenan. God, these two were so good together. Mean Gene Okerlund is on the platform. He brings out the reinstated Randy Savage. They talk about the reinstatement as well as the Cobra biting Savage. He says it was a living hell. He couldn't see or hear anything but Elizabeth crying. They then talk about this Tuesday in Texas and about all reptiles being barred from ringside. He says he's going to be all over Jake Roberts like melting butter. Mean Gene asks Savage what Elizabeth thinks about all of this. Savage says, why don't you ask her yourself? Elizabeth is then brought out. She says she wants to thank everyone who voted for Randy, and when he returns, she is going to be there. She predicts victory for the Macho Man this Tuesday in Texas. Take a shot. They leave to a good ovation. Colonel Mustafa with General Adnan, the Berserker with Mr. Fuji, Skinner, and Hercules versus the Texas Tornado, Tito Santana, Jim Duggan, and Sergeant Slaughter. Slaughter has turned face and regained his country. A USA chant goes out before they begin. Santana and Skinner start. Skinner slaps Santana, who pushes Skinner down. Santana follows that up with a clothesline and a side headlock. He gets Skinner down. Skinner rolls over briefly to get a 2 count, but Santana keeps the headlock on. Skinner pushes off. Santana comes back with a shoulder block. Back and forth with leapfrogs, and Santana hits a flying forearm that knocks Skinner to the outside. Back in, Santana goes back to the side headlock. Skinner pushes off. Santana ducks a clothesline and a back elbow. Skinner ducks a crossbody. Berserker tagged in. He goes to double stomp Santana from the second rope. Santana moves and tags Tornado in. They go back and forth. Berserker misses a clothesline and a drop kick. They get Tornado in the heels corner and attack him. Mustafa tags in and holds Tornado for the others to hit. Hercules then tagged in. Duggan tagged in. Hercules with a side headlock. Shoulder block by Duggan. They slug it out. Irish whip by Hercules. Duggan ducks the clothesline. Berserker grabs Duggan by the hair. Heels beating on Duggan in their corner. Duggan finally gets away, but he acts like he's out of it. Berserker in and he's kicking Duggan. Berserker with an Irish whip and an elbow. Mustafa in. He kicks Duggan and gets a headlock on. Duggan coming back with some shots and a shoulder block. Duggan with a charge, and Mustafa just hits him in the throat. That gets a 2 count. Mustafa runs Duggan into a turnbuckle. Then an eye rake, and Duggan comes back with a right hand. Then some shots to Mustafa in the corner. Mustafa with a shot and a kick. He gets a 2 count. Duggan blocks a suplex attempt and gets a suplex of his own. Slaughter tagged in. He ducks Mustafa's shots and hits an atomic drop and a clothesline on Mustafa. He pins Mustafa. Berserker in and Slaughter runs him into the turnbuckle. Berserker reverses a corner whip and hits a clothesline to Slaughter. Berserker with another corner whip and Slaughter hits the turnbuckle hard. Berserker runs Slaughter into the turnbuckle again. Berserker with an Irish whip and a big boot. That gets a 2 count. Hercules tagged in. He runs Slaughter into the turnbuckle and Slaughter hits the corner post with his head. That gets another 2 count. Berserker tagged back in. A USA chant goes out. Slaughter reverses an Irish whip. Berserker comes back with a big boot. He misses a clothesline and Slaughter drops him on the top rope, crotch first. Slaughter then shakes the ropes up and down until Berserker falls off. Berserker with an eye rake and a kick. Slaughter comes back with an eye rake and a kick, causing Berserker to do a split. Duggan tagged in. Berserker with an Irish whip, but drops his head and Duggan comes back with a kick to the head. Duggan with a clothesline that knocks Berserker to the outside. He comes back in, and Duggan backdrops him to the outside again. Berserker comes back with a headbutt to the stomach of Duggan. Berserker with a corner whip. Duggan tags Tornado in. He hits some big rights to Berserker. A discus punch to Berserker. Tornado in the wrong corner, and the heels are attacking him. Hercules in. He gets an Irish whip. Tornado with a leapfrog and a roll over Hercules, and Santana tagged in. He hits an Irish whip and a shot to Hercules' stomach. Big flying punch, and Hercules is pinned. Skinner in and choking Santana. Berserker tagged in. He hits some shots to Santana. Irish whip and a clothesline to Santana. Front face lock to Santana, and Skinner tagged in. He hits a scoop slam to Santana. Santana with some shots, but he misses a clothesline. Skinner goes to atomic drop Santana, who tags Slaughter in as Skinner is doing it. Slaughter rolls Skinner up for a pin. Berserker with an Irish whip, but misses a drop kick. Slaughter runs Berserker into a turnbuckle, and the pad has somehow come off. Berserker blocks a corner whip until Slaughter gets a shot in, and then he corner whips Berserker. Duggan tagged in. He hits a 3-point stance and clothesline to get the pin. Slaughter, Duggan, Santana, and Tornado are the survivors. Duggan does a funny little dance here. It's very strange. Mean Gene talks to Jake Roberts. He is so good here. He says that what happened was an accident. Mean Gene says he can't wait until Roberts meets Randy Savage this Tuesday in Texas. Take a shot. Roberts says those responsible are the people who voted for the Macho Man to be reinstated, the WWF, and Jack Tunney, not him. Mean Gene then reminds him that no reptiles will be allowed at ringside. Roberts says the thing in the bag has always been a toy. He's always been the snake you should worry about. He says that this Tuesday in Texas, take a shot. Elizabeth has a one-way ticket to the end of the beginning. This is a money promo. It brought chills to me. They announced that this Tuesday in Texas, Take a Shot will be available on pay-per-view. Flashback to what has led to the WWF Championship match. WWF Championship match. Hulk Hogan versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Hogan gets a good ovation coming out. Monsoon works in greatest athlete in the world today. If you're drinking at home, you can take a shot. Hogan turns over the Hulkamaniac casket at ringside. He throws his bandana at The Undertaker and his belt at Earl Hebner. Hogan intensely focused on Undertaker. They lock up and Undertaker pushes Hogan in the corner. He follows it up with a corner charge, but Hogan moves out of the way. They lock up again and Hogan with a side headlock. Undertaker pushes off. Hogan ducks a clothesline. Undertaker with a shoulder block. Hogan rolls to the outside to regroup. A Hogan chant goes out as he comes back in. Undertaker grabs Hogan by the throat. Then shots to Hogan's throat. A shot to Hogan's face knocks him down. Undertaker with Hogan on the top rope choking him for a 4 count. Undertaker distracts the referee while Paul Bearer attacks Hogan. Undertaker with a big scoop slam. Undertaker misses an elbow drop. Hogan with some shots and a clothesline. Undertaker doesn't go down. Hogan goes for a slam, but Undertaker with a forearm to his back. Hogan with an eye rake, a boot, and another eye rake. Hogan with an Irish whip and an elbow smash to try to knock Undertaker down. Then Hogan with some chops, an eye rake, and then he runs Undertaker into the corner turnbuckle. 2 right hands and a clothesline that knocks Undertaker to the outside, but he lands on his feet. He drags Hogan to the outside and attacks him with a throat thrust. He runs Hogan into the ring steps. He then wraps a mic cord around Hogan's neck and starts choking him with it. Back in, Undertaker stomps Hogan. He goes back to choking Hogan. The referee starts counting. Undertaker breaks the hole and distracts the referee so Paul Bearer can choke Hogan. Undertaker back to attacking Hogan as a guy in the front row dressed like Hogan tries to get a Hogan chant going. Undertaker with a claw on. A Hogan chant starts. Hogan goes down. Undertaker gets a 2 count. Then Undertaker gets another 2 count. Then another one. Hogan won't stay down though. Hogan trying to fight back. The referee checks to see if Hogan has passed out. It doesn't go down a 3rd time. Hogan fights to get to his feet. He then hits Undertaker with a shoulder block. Then another one. Undertaker comes back with a flying choke slam. Undertaker hits the tombstone piledriver on Hogan. Hogan coming back. Big right hands to Undertaker. Undertaker will not go down. He finally goes to one knee. He gets back up. Hogan with an eye rake. Hogan signals that he's going to slam Undertaker as Ric Flair comes to ringside. Hogan slams Undertaker and goes for the leg drop. Paul Bearer grabs Hogan's leg. Hogan goes after Bearer. Flair is holding the WWF Championship. Hogan punches Flair. Hogan with an Irish whip and a big boot to Undertaker. He again goes for the leg drop, and Bearer again grabs his leg. Undertaker with another throat thrust to Hogan. Bearer distracts the referee, while Flair puts the chair into the ring and Undertaker tombstones Hogan on it. Fortunately, you have a camera angle that shows Hogan never coming near the chair. Unfortunately for Hogan, who tried to claim that Undertaker hurt him for real with the move. Undertaker pins Hogan. New WWF World's Heavyweight Champion. Undertaker and Paul Bearer leave with the championship as officials come down to check on Hogan. The show upset fans in the audience. Hogan gets to his feet and walks out on his own. He gets a good ovation. Mean Gene says he can't believe Undertaker is the WWF champion. He brings in Roddy Piper on to opine about the situation. He can't believe it either. He cuts a really weird promo on The Undertaker and Ric Flair. Sean Mooney interviews Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. Flair says he did what he said he was going to do, make Hulk Hogan a short-lived champion. He says he's the only world's champion, and Hogan is on his way to the hospital. We then go to our intermission. Mean Gene resets the deck after the intermission. He then talks to Earthquake, Typhoon, and IRS with Jimmy Hart. Earthquake says the LOD and the Big Boss Man are in for natural disasters. Jimmy Hart says it should be 4-on-3. It's not Jake Roberts' fault that Randy Savage was bitten by a snake. IRS says that Jack Tunney is going to get an audit this year. Kind of hard since Tunney lives in Canada, but I don't know what kind of tax form he gets from the WWF. Typhoon says they are going to reign supreme. Sean Mooney talks to the Legion of Doom and the Big Boss Man. Animal says Jack Tunney's decision never had any bearing on this match. Boss Man says their opponents are nothing but trash. Hawk says Jake Roberts is the luckiest man alive for not being in this match. Mooney tries to interrupt What a Rush. Hawk says don't ever do that before finishing. Mean Gene talks to Jack Tunney. Tunney says notwithstanding, take a shot. He orders a rematch for this Tuesday in Texas between Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker. Take another shot. The Beverly Brothers, Bo and Blake, and the Nasty Boys, Knobbs and Sags, versus the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, and the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. Butch and Knobbs start. They lock up, back and forth, exchanging stiff shots. Butch with a stiff knee to the gut of Knobbs. Luke tagged in. Double clothesline to Knobbs. Sags comes in to help, and they run the Nasty Boys into each other. Double clothesline by both Nasty Boys. Beverly Brothers come in, and Bushwhackers start to punish them. They hit both Beverly Brothers with the battering ram. The Rockers then come in with a double drop kick to the Nasty Boys. The heels roll out to regroup. Michaels and Blake in. They battle in the corner. The referee tries to separate them, but Blake with a big left hand to Michaels. Michaels reverses a corner whip, but gets a back elbow when he goes for the charge. Blake with an Irish whip. He drops his head and Michaels hits a swinging neck breaker. Blake comes back with an inverted atomic drop and a backbreaker. Knobbs tagged in, but misses an elbow drop. Michaels with a high knee. Luke tagged in. Knobbs reverses a corner whip, but misses the corner splash. Knobbs then hits a flying clothesline to pin Luke. Michaels with an Irish whip, but drops his head, and Knobbs does a double axe handle. Sags tagged in. He hits a suplex on Michaels. Sags with a corner whip, but Michaels moves on the corner charge. Michaels with a crossbody. He gets a 2 count. Michaels with an arm drag. Jannetty tagged in. He does a splash on Sags and gets him in an arm bar. Jannetty reverses an Irish whip. Sags comes back with a shoulder block. Jannetty with an arm drag. Then another arm drag. Jannetty back to the arm bar. Sags moves Jannetty into the heels corner. Bo tagged in. Running neck snap by Bo. Irish whip by Bo. Jannetty rolls over and hits Bo with a super kick. That gets a 2 count for Jannetty. Front face lock by Jannetty. He turns that back into an armbar. Bo drives Jannetty into the corner. Jannetty comes out with a drop toe hold. Back to the front face lock. Bo pins Jannetty on the top turnbuckle. He goes to charge Jannetty, who leapfrogs over him to avoid getting hit. Bo with a corner whip. Gut wrench suplex to Jannetty. Gets a 1 count. Bo with a side headlock. Reverses an Irish whip. Jannetty with a back elbow, and both men are down. Blake and Butch tagged in. Butch cleans house. The Beverly Brothers double team Butch. They hit the Shaker Heights spike on Butch and pin him. Jannetty in and gets a front face lock on Bo. Corner whip and a monkey flip to Bo. Hurricane Rana to Bo. That gets a 2 count for Jannetty. back to a front face lock. Bo pushes off into an Irish whip. He drops his head. Jannetty goes to kick him. Bo catches his leg. Jannetty hits an enziguri. Blake tagged in. Jannetty with an arm drag, then an arm bar to Blake. Michaels tagged in. Blake comes back with some shots and a knee lift. He then chokes Michaels on the ring ropes. Jannetty comes in to help, causing the referee to get him out, allowing Blake and Knobbs to choke Michaels some more. Blake puts Michaels on the top rope head first. He tags Bo in, who leapfrogs over Blake to land on Michaels' back. That gets the 2 count. He throws Michaels to the outside. Knobbs runs Michaels into the ring apron. Bo brings Michaels back in. Irish whip and a back elbow to Michaels. He drops an elbow to Michaels' back. A corner whip and a backbreaker to Michaels. Another corner whip to Michaels, who comes with a backslide to Bo to get the pin. Blake in with the double axe handles to Michaels. He picks Michaels up and runs him into a turnbuckle. He then slams Michaels down. He gets a 2 count. Knobbs tagged in. Irish whip, but Michaels comes back with a sunset flip and gets a 1 count. Sags tagged in. Gorilla says Jannetty really didn't reach for the tag. He was looking at the wrong time, I think. Sags with an Irish whip. He goes to throw Michaels out. Michaels holds on. He drop kicks Sags to the outside. Michaels with a flying clothesline from the apron. Super kick to Knobbs when he comes over. Rolls Sags back in. Sags with a shot to Michaels' throat when he comes off the top rope. Blake tagged in and he leg drops Michaels. He hits a stun gun on Michaels, then Irish whips him, but Michaels comes back with a kick to the face when Blake drops his head. Knobbs and Jannetty tagged in. Jannetty cleans house. Back elbow to Knobbs. Snapmare to Knobbs. That gets a 2 count for Jannetty. Forearm shots by Jannetty. Knobbs responds with an eye rake. Blake tagged in. Jannetty arm drags him. Jannetty with an arm bar. Blake tries the shot, but Jannetty rolls away. Blake misses a clothesline. Blake blocks one roll-up attempt. Jannetty tries again with a modified monkey flip. He gets a 2 count. Blake with a headbutt and tags Knobbs in. Knobbs with a double axe handle. He runs Jannetty headfirst into the turnbuckle. Jannetty corner whipped hard. Knobbs with a body slam. He gets a 1 count. Sags tagged in. Sags with a pump handle slam. Sags with a back suplex. Knobbs tagged in. He tries for a second rope splash, but Jannetty gets his knees up. Michaels tagged in. Knobbs reverses an Irish whip. Michaels comes back with a clothesline. All 5 men in. The Rockers corner whip both Nasty Boys into Blake. Jannetty goes to scoop slam Sags, and when he does, Sags' legs hits Michaels, who gets rolled up by Knobbs. Michaels is visibly pissed. He yells and pushes Jannetty before leaving. Knobbs runs Jannetty into the corner ropes. Jannetty corner whipped, but Jannetty gets his boots up on the charge. Monsoon and Heenan wonder why Michaels left. I guess they didn't see the pin. I'm yelling at the TV. He was pinned. This is driving me crazy. Sags throws Jannetty to the outside. Back in, Blake power slams Jannetty. Knobbs tagged in. Heenan asks if Michaels was pinned. Monsoon says not to his knowledge. Someone should be telling them via headset that he was pinned. Jannetty escapes an armbar and drags Knobbs to the outside. He runs Knobbs into the corner post. Sags comes over to help, and Jannetty dives onto both of them from the top rope. Back in, Jannetty slams Blake face first into the mat. He ducks a Nasty Boys double clothesline, kicks Knobbs, and rolls Sags up in a small package. The referee is being distracted by Blake. Knobbs rolls Sags over onto Jannetty. Sags gets the pin. Sole survivors, Blake Beverly and the Nasty Boys. They showed the hit to Michaels, but not the full pin, and I'm still upset. They had a chance to fix it. Gorilla and Bobby then plugged this Tuesday in Texas, so take a shot. The natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon and IRS with Jimmy Hart versus the Big Boss Man and the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. IRS does his tax cheat spiel. The faces get separate entrances. An LOD chant goes out. IRS and Boss Man start. IRS with a knee to the gut. Irish whip and Boss Man slides to the outside. He trips IRS. Headbutt to IRS. A shot and a corner whip to IRS. IRS reverses another corner whip, and Boss Man slides to the outside again. Boss Man misses a clothesline, but hits a big boot to IRS. Then a big shot to IRS. Earthquake tagged in. He points that he wants the LOD. Animal tagged in to big cheers. They shoulder block each other. Animal goes for a crossbody. Earthquake catches him and puts a backbreaker on him. Earthquake misses a splash. Animal with a dropkick. Earthquake reverses an Irish whip. Earthquake misses a clothesline. Animal comes back with a shoulder tackle. Gets a 2 count. IRS tagged in. Hawk tagged in. Hawk with a big shot to IRS. IRS with an eye rake and a big right hands of his own. Typhoon tagged in. Hawk military presses IRS onto Typhoon, who catches him. Hawk then drop kicks IRS and he and Typhoon fall down. Typhoon trapped in the Faces corner, and Animal and Bossman take some shots. Hawk with kicks and punches to Typhoon in the corner. Earthquake tagged in. Hawk with a side headlock. Earthquake picks Hawk up and brings him into the heels corner. IRS tagged in. Hawk with a back suplex. Hawk drops a fist. Bossman tagged in. He hits a shot that knocks IRS down. He gets IRS on the ropes and does the leapfrog body guillotine on him. He stands on IRS's tie. He hits a big shot to IRS. The referee is distracted and IRS hits Bossman with his briefcase. Bossman pin. An LOD chant goes out again. The Natural Disasters double teaming Animal. Earthquake with a belly-to-belly suplex to Animal. He gets a 2 count. A forearm to Animal. IRS comes off the top rope, hitting Animal with a shot while Earthquake holds him. IRS tagged in and drops a leg on Animal's groin. He kicks Animal in the stomach and distracts the referee so the Natural Disasters can beat on him in their corner. Typhoon tagged in. Irish whip and a bear hug to Animal. He runs him into the corner several times. He corner whips Animal, but Animal gets his boot up on the charge. Animal comes out of the corner with a clothesline. Hawk tagged in. He hits everyone. Irish whip to Typhoon. Shoulder tackle to Typhoon. He goes for corner punches, but IRS is in and punching Hawk. He grabs the briefcase to hit Hawk, who ducks and Typhoon gets hit instead. Typhoon gets pinned. Earthquake comes in to check on Typhoon. He is mad at IRS. Earthquake and Typhoon then leave, both mad at IRS. Earthquake gets counted out. IRS Irish whipped and power slammed by Hawk. He runs IRS headfirst into the turnbuckle. He corner whips IRS, who moves, and Hawk hits the corner post with his shoulder. IRS throws Hawk to the outside. He runs Hawk into the ring steps. An LOD chant goes out. They exchange chops on the outside. Back in, IRS with an Irish whip and a back elbow. Headlock to Hawk. IRS with an Irish whip, but it looks like they mess up a spot and both collide and are down. Hawk blocks a suplex attempt and hits one of his own. Animal tagged in. He kicks IRS. Irish whips him and hits a shoulder block. Irish whip and a power slam to IRS. Double clothesline by LOD. IRS rolls to the outside. He starts to leave. The big boss man is shown coming back up the aisle. He drives IRS back towards the ring. Animal suplexes IRS back inside. Hawk hits a flying clothesline. Animal pins IRS. Sole survivors, LOD. Sean Mooney says he just left the dressing room of Hulk Hogan, who vowed he would get his title back this Tuesday in Texas. Take a shot. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan say goodnight and plug this Tuesday in Texas when they get word Mean Gene has found The Undertaker and Paul Bearer. They are in the bowels of Joe Louis Arena. Paul Bearer says nothing is immortal, not even Hulkamania. It died here in Detroit. Undertaker says they warned Hulk Hogan what was in store for Hulkamania. It died tonight. This Tuesday is the burial as they fade to black. Final thoughts. A filler show just to push the new Tuesday pay-per-view concept. The action was okay, but the show felt a little flat to me. Gorilla was off his game, especially with the rocker stuff. Interesting to see at least once. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from stately Maine Manor.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.